board or my canvas with Kills 2. And I do 3 or 4 coats of that. And you'll see that there's different outcomes with different substrates, but you just, you work with it and you play with it and come up with things that you like to work on the best. So when it comes to tools, there is almost nothing you can't use for tools to manipulate and move the alcohol ink. So this is one of my favorites. It's one of those little air thingies. Everybody loves playing with these, right? We have straws. We have stampers. I probably use this almost everything that I do. I use the little stampers, right? You can use cards. I have makeup tip applicators. And you can also get very fine, they're eyeliner brushes that you can buy, you buy them in a huge bag like this on Amazon. So everything here is Amazon. These are the watercolor pencils that I put alcohol into, right? So we use a lot of these. These are little mixtures. A side note on spraying alcohol. You don't want to spray big volumes of alcohol because it's just not good. So these little mini mixtures are nice because they can put a little splattering on, but you're not inhaling the alcohol as far as that goes. These are the little needle nose tips. This is my favorite one. This must leave with me today. I don't know what I would do without this. I don't know where I got it, but this is my favorite one that I use all the time. So this is probably one of my best things. And then, of course, a variety of brushes and stuff like that. Alcohol inks. I don't know how many different kinds of brands of alcohol inks they have right now. These are called T-Rex inks. And the reason I like these inks, and I have all of them, I have every brand that you could come up with. I have probably 1,000 bottles of ink. I will never have to buy ink again. But the reason I like these is because the caps are color-coded. Because it's super easy when you get going, you start taking off caps and you don't know where they go. When you go to put them back on, you put the wrong color, which has ink up in it. In the cap, right? So these are good, but they're all good. Some of them have different intensities and different pros and cons, as far as the colors, but you'll also figure that out. So I passed around some of those older pieces right there, and I'm going to take some of those and show you what you can do with older pieces, but I also want to show you what you can do with new pieces. And we're going to work on the photo paper. And as soon as I do a couple demos, I'd like everybody to try a piece or two and see how it goes. So another thing to keep in mind is that all alcohol ink brands sell what they call a blending solution that you're supposed to use. You can also just use the straight isopropyl alcohol because this blending solution, basically, you can make your own. It's 91 or 99% isopropyl alcohol with a couple of drops of glycerin that you can get at the drugstore. That's what it is. It just extends the alcohol a little bit longer. And you can see the differences when you're playing, how it makes the inks react. So the inks will react to each other whether they are wet or dry. So if it's already dry, it will reactivate with either more ink or just alcohol or with the blending solution. Another quick tip too is the alcohol ink markers, which are a lot of fun to work with, right? And you can get these, a lot of times they have them like at Tuesday morning or Five Below. We'll have the Ross will have them. You can find these almost anywhere and just get a collection, right? So as far as storing the inks, I will tell you one thing: don't fly with them. Don't fly with them. I did it because with the group that I took, I actually now teach for the group, and I packed up all my inks and I double checked all my bottles and I put them into plastic baggies, and I got to my destination to teach the class, and the inks had exploded in the bag. Oh, wow. Which was not that big of a deal because I did have them in plastic, but you couldn't tell what color was what color because all of the labels and all the bottles were stained. So it was just a guessing game as to what we were using for the rest of the class. But we did it. We made it through, and it was a lot of fun. So does anybody have any questions as far as some of the tools and some of the basics about alcohol ink before we start pouring.
So when you, oh, sorry, go ahead. So you talked about it fading, but how much does it fade? And is there anything that you can put on top of it to prevent it from fading? Because if somebody bought it and you have, that could be an issue with some people, even though you explain it to them.
Yes. So I put a little sticker on the back of everything that I sell that says, thank you so much for your purchase of this alcohol ink piece, alcohol. And I tell them that it's a natural dye suspended in alcohol and that it is not UV safe. Please don't hang it in direct sunlight or in intense heat. With that being said, there are two, and this is really specific. There are two things that you do to every single piece of alcohol ink. The first one is called Kmart varnish. It's Krylon Kmart varnish. You can buy it online. Sometimes Walmart has this as well, as Michael's or Hobby Lobby will also have this. So you're going to take every piece that you do, and you're going to mist 3 to 5 coats of Kmart varnish. You're going to let that dry a few minutes, and then you're going to use UV resistant clear coat from Kmart or from Krylon as well. So every piece, and I probably do 4 or 5 coats of this on top of it, on top of my Kmart varnish. So Kmart first, because any other clear coat has alcohol in it, which when you spray it on your piece, and it only takes once to figure it out, will reactivate everything that you've just done. So that's why you have to use the Kmart first, because it doesn't have alcohol in it. Okay, so do we have our little thing right here all set up?
So Teri, a lot of those look like they're intuitive, and others look like you planned them, like those flowers that she's looking at right there.
Yeah, those flowers, we're gonna do one of those. I'm gonna do one of those flowers today. So sometimes it's planned out and sometimes it just happens. This was not planned out. I was not doing a landscape when I did this. I just got some really dark colors. And that's what I mean about how you just save those pieces, because you never know what you're gonna come up with next as you're sitting there fiddling around. And I think part of the fun is just watching how, as you touch it with the alcohol, it just starts to separate and move, right? So we could do one of these right now.
I have a question. If you wanted to do the, say, pink rose, can you use a reference photo to start out, or is it better just to let it happen?
You could use a reference photo, but it's going to do whatever it wants to do.
You
can use a reference photo. After a while, you give up not. So I did not bring today, but I do have it. If anybody wants information, you can get in touch with me. I did not bring my air compressor. I have a little air gun air compressor. It's my favorite tool. That's what I do most of my flowers with. But there's a little bit of a learning curve to it. You can get it at Harbor Freight. It's about $100. It has a low, I think it's 57 PSI. And you learn how to use it. It comes with it. You don't put the ink into the gun. You put the ink onto your surface, and then you just use the air to move it around. You can also use canned air. I hate canned air just because I have not learned how to control it yet. And you have to, when you're using canned air and it has the long straw coming out, you have to be able to get it. So you've got to hold it kind of like below the table. I just prefer the air gun. They also make little makeup, handheld battery operated makeup airbrushes. They're not as strong as the little, I think it's called Master's Touch air compressor that I get at Harbor Freight. It's not as strong, but it gives you a little different look. But that's how I get all of the flowers that I do. All of these flowers are done with the little airbrush when I put it on the paper. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a couple of samples, and then I've got right here puppy pads. So these are really great because it absorbs all the ink that spills, which it can get quite messy. I also, sometimes I've worked on like big pieces of styrene, and it'll get really messy, and then I'll take alcohol and I'll pour the alcohol on it, and then I'll funnel it into a thing, because I will never buy alcohol ink again. I have everything, and a little bit goes a long way. I'm talking drops. 1 or 2 drops is all you need to get going. Another little thing I brought here today too for everybody is liquid gloves because it stains. So it stains. Everybody's welcome to use a little bit of liquid gloves. You just put it on and rub it around, and it helps when you're
Will that take it out of your clothes?
no. But because it's alcohol based, here's a little tip. Hairspray is alcohol based, or the actual alcohol itself. You can, sometimes you can, although I'm in pink, so I'm not really. It's mostly when you get it all over your hands and you've used purple and it's like super intense. The colors are super intense. So, okay. All right. So is this set up? And I'm going to do a sample or two, and then we'll get the puppy pads out.
You all can see right from back there. Good.
Yes, it's beautiful.
I love it. Okay, perfect. So let me see where. All right. Oh, one other trick is that all of the paper comes with a cardboard piece on top. And you open it up and you start doing it, and you're like, what the heck? That's not working. It's just as the first piece. You just have to dig a little bit deeper. After so many complaints, there's so much that you can do. So these little stampers with the little felt pads. I also keep my felt pads for a certain time because everything that I do, I use over and over again. These are my palettes. What I try to do with my little palettes is I try to use light colors with light colors, because this palette right here will do a whole painting and there's nothing in it, but it will reactivate when I put the alcohol into it, right? So I kind of spread these out and use them over and over and over again as much as I can. So what I'm going to do though first is I'm going to start and do a little bit of a background. And I'm going to take, is that good? You can do that? Okay, so I'm going to take my handy little alcohol ink, 91% alcohol, and I'm going to squeeze some onto the paper. And then we're going to put some colors on it. And we're just going to let it kind of work itself. Hair dryers. You can use a heat gun, but be careful because it'll melt the UFO paper, right? So this is just like a travel hair gun, and it had the little attachment on it, which I took off. And I really like this hair dryer because it's not too hot and it's not too strong. So I had quite a bit of alcohol on there, but so we're going to do something kind of like this, right? So I'm going to take on my little stamper, or actually maybe first I'll take and I'll make a couple little lines in there. So I'm going to take one of my greens. I'm going to take this green that I've already used, and I'm going to put a little alcohol in it. A little bit more. So one of the things that you can tell, because alcohol and water kind of fight with each other and will cause little droplets, and I don't know if you can see the little droplets on here, but it's kind of humid. And you'll notice a couple things. If you're working and you're blowing through a straw, oftentimes the breath coming through the straw has moisture in it, and you'll see little droplets. That's what that is on here. But you can work around that, and you can get them out with a little Q-tip or something like that. You can dab at them and get them out. So if I take this ink, so we have a little bit of a base, and now I'm going to take my my little felt pad. I'm going to put just a couple drops of alcohol onto that, and then I'm going to take maybe a couple colors.
Where do you get the felt pads?
Michael's.
They just come in those circles.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's barely anything on there.
What is that called? A foam pad?
A stamper or
Yes. It's like these little stampers, and then she has like this extra felt.
yeah.
That are cut out, or they come already cut out.
So we can just keep layering and layering and layering, getting little dots. I can also take and add a drop of ink into my little well and do it with a small brush or something like that as well. But I think just to get started, I just want to show how just that one drop of how it reacts to itself. So you just start to let it work on its own, and you can see how it pushes the ink away. And now if I was to take a hairdryer and circle around the outside of it, there's so many techniques that you can use with this. I also want you to know that the inks can work with other materials too. It's kind of like water-based and oil-based don't really work together, but you can find ways to layer things. I know that ink works really nicely with encaustic. So you can use it in caustic. That works really well. I've mixed it with acrylic paintings where I've done a layer of acrylic and a layer of inks, and that works really nicely too. So I guess after flying, I put these on real tight. I tend to use alcohol more than I do the blending solution, but you can see how easy it is to not put the lids back on. So just to get started, you can see where you can go in just a minute or two. Okay. So another one that I really like to do is what I'm going to give you first. I'm going to give you one other thing. You should write this down. There are two colors that you cannot live without. One of them is called pinata brass. It's a metallic brass color, and I do have a little bit of it here. This is my all-time favorite color in the whole world for everything. The other color that you really need to have and work with is called snow-capped white, and that is Tim Holtz. Snow-capped white. The whites and the metallics are a different beast when it comes to alcohol ink. So you have to shake these until you loosen the ball bearing inside. It took me years to figure out how to work with this, and I still cuss at it, today. There are days where it's like, it is just not working. So I'm going to take, actually, I'm going to use a background, and I'm just going to take this pad that I have. I'm going to put some more ink or some more alcohol on it.
Can you explain again what side you're using with the photo paper that you got?
The back. If it's shiny on front, let me show you what happens when you put it on front. It dries instantly. It's not going to move around because this is what's supposed to hold the ink. But the back of the paper, that's why it's only the Kirkland's or the Amazon Basic. I want to thin that down a little bit more. I'm going to, yeah. And then I think we'll take and do, so there's going to be the beginning of my flowers. What I'm going to do then is I'm going to take a darker mix, a little bit of blue in there. We'll just see what that does. It'll be kind of purpley. And we're going to just darken one side. And a lot of times it's layers. You're just going to use layers upon layers. And it's small. You're just working small. So if I get one started here and I get my little dots, I kind of used a little bit of a blue and some of that same pink. And this is where this snow-capped white comes in. You have to shake and shake and shake and shake because I can use that to highlight on the other side some of the flowers that you can see right here. So we're basically highlighting and so to get those little dots, what I use is these tiny little makeup applicators. So it's one tiny dot at a time.
Oh, geez.
Did I mention patience? And the thing with the white, and it took me forever to learn this, is it just takes, it's multiple layers. And as your ink sits in your wells, it's going to evaporate some and become darker and thicker. So if you want something that's more intense, put a couple drops in your well and let it sit for a minute. And then eventually it will dry up and
How did you make these lines? They're little lines here.
on the stymon of the flower.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, okay, so you know the Posca pens? This is my biggest secret.
Uh-oh.
I usually charge a lot of money for this one. Posca pens, right?
I don't know.
So Posca pens is an acrylic paint pen called Posca, Posca. And I get the yellow and I make it, and it's one of the ones where you have to push down the nib to get the paint to flow out. So I get it primed, and then I put one dot on the paper. That's for these Steinmans here. Right up in here, I put one dot on the paper, and then I squeeze it with my little thingy like that. Go all over the place, so it gets all wild and crazy. That's what that is.
You can get them at Hobby Lobby.
Yeah, Hobby
Michael's has
Lobby.
it too, right? Amazon, of course.
See, and then you do something like that, and you're like, "Well, crap! Now I got to make something out of that one too." So there's no big secret. So that one is now little leaf, right? Because we meant to do that. So there's so many different techniques to use. Sometimes it's even like some of these where you just put down a drop or two of, a couple drops of color going across, and you're going to play with it. This is so much fun. It's addicting. It really is. I'm going to keep working on my little thing here. Okay, who wants to try this?
Me.
Everybody. I don't know if you can see in the film here, but how you get these things to where they work just perfect, and you can get it to where it has a little, almost like a little hollow center on it. Now, for instance, also if I want to clean something up because I don't like exactly how it's looking, this is my little pen, so I'm going to just prime it so that the alcohol gets all the way down into the nib.
That's your eraser?
Yeah, it's my eraser, and it's my, these things are awesome. There's so many different ways to use these. So yeah, you can clean up little edges. You can paint with them. I've actually put colored ink into these because you can add a drop of color to this and use this as well. So depending on what you're trying to accomplish. And then once it gets a little colored on the bottom, just squeeze it again, and the ink will come, whatever color you've picked up on it will come off as well. So you can clean up with these. I have a little bit of everything up here for everybody, and I would be happy if everybody wants to pick one or two colors. I think we probably have enough. And I've also got paper. Take a couple sheets of paper. And then if you're in doubt, ask me, and I'll tell you which side is the back. So you can hand out a couple of those. And we might have to share some of the, we might have to share some of the inks and the tools, but
Shiny side down.
shiny side down. If you can see the shine.
Shiny side down. That's why.
I don't know if you can see
So come
that.
on up and get a color or two, and then I'm gonna come around and help everybody figure out what you're doing. We've also got paper on the tables back here, and if you're at one of these white tables, I've got puppy pads, just open those up.
You want to go there? Okay.
Well, let's go.
So I've got, take that. Also, I have some straws here, they are clean. But you can try blowing through straws on that. And then also maybe. This is as the water, the water brush. So, okay. Yeah, take a couple.
Barbara, did you get some paper?
No.
Shine down.
Shine down.
That's why I didn't want
So
to
she knew that one thing, yeah.
It's kind of hard to figure out. I mean, I can tell, but it's.
And the I was just so frustrated. I'm
Y
like,
parece que el brazo sería rueda más.
No, porque lo que pasa es que como es alcohol, no se mueve. Esta parte se va a mover. Porque está smooth.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other part is meant to soak because it's photo.
Yeah, I still use you. I use you, but I'm not as much as. Oh, my name.
Everyone has one of these.
Yeah, yes, that with the white. So yeah, Q-tips, tape out. I've got some stamps here. So pick a color or two. Okay. Yeah, it's like a Velcro on it. So I've got some stamps here. I've got maybe take a straw if you want. You can blow through it with the straw. I've also got some little bottles.
That's what I was, yeah, that's what I was going to do.
Terry, a friend and I did that. You know about it.
I didn't know.
Yeah. We didn't know about like MR. So first time.
Oh my gosh, it was a mess.
It was a hot mess, I guess.
So like, that does prevent it from being on the tile?
Yeah, so when I do tiles, I actually do epoxy. I do camo varnish, I do the UV clear coat, and I'll do epoxy. If I'm actually making a poster, if I'm making it, my used to have these in their little section. They have and they fit into a tile. So I would paint my tiles. Sometimes I would do epoxy, sometimes I would not. If it's a wall piece, then I would stick it on the, into the tile. And then they super strong glue or whatever, and it was perfect.
So when you spray this though, I would think it would really wouldn't fade too much, but it still will.
Well, if you leave it in the sun, it's gonna fade. It's
Kind
gonna
of like
fade.
watercolor too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, any paint, anything that you leave in the sun.
Right, I know, exactly.
This is where it's gonna hurt it, so.
Okay, so we're talking.
So take a grab, I've got a couple little paint brushes, I've got some of these little water pads, and everybody can kind of take a water pad. They have alcohol in them, so
What
it's
am I
like,
supposed to do with it?
you're gonna play with it. We're gonna.
They
Yeah.
would
Yeah.
one section.
I have some of these little pieces. I've got straws here. If you like to, if you like to blow through a straw.
There's a bank there, and Ross, and Walgreens, and Bell, and Kilimanjaro. And I know there.
How do you?
Yeah, and
Quincy.
Yeah, first you have to put
Okay, all right, I'm gonna take brushes around, I'm gonna start getting people moving on some
Yeah,
stuff here.
because I can't take that out. Well, maybe I could get that out before I go live, public.
Oh, dang.
Oh, you want to put it back?
Yes. It's liquid, yeah, it is, everything is Amazon. Liquid gloves, it's called liquid gloves.
Yeah.
And it's really helpful, although it is best to actually wear gloves.
I
But we know how much we all love.
I always bring him oil from that.
I know.
It's crazy. And then I didn't realize the first time I did it, I put the needle in a little spot and I'm holding it so tight. It goes, my hands were purple for 4 days.
Well, maybe that's something you should talk about too.
I went through so much alcohol. I'm like, it's alcohol. Come on.
Yes.
Why are we? Time's up.
Oh, the thing's going down.
We have, say hello. We have 5 members that are watching.
I'm just doing, this was.
Isn't this wonderful? Still working, work in progress.
It's, I have to lower the shutters because it gets too bright.
Now I'm so vibrant.
Yeah, there's some up there.
Okay.
So compared to like people that do fluid art, what if you manipulate that and move that around, but this you can be more precise.
You can be more precise, and the thing about fluid art is that you're letting the it dries slower. You know, if you're doing any kind of acrylic fluid art, it dries so much slower. So with this, it dries very quickly. You can see that those pieces are already done.
Right.
And, you know, they're already dry.
Okay.
And then what you can do is, like, that's got just alcohol in it.
Mhm.
You know, so you can take little brushes and you can see. I bet you that has
Sharon Lightfoot says hello, everyone.
yeah. So then you can just take, because this is barely wet now, and you can just take and you can move. You know,
Oh, okay.
move it
And
around
move
like
it
that.
around. Oh,
Yeah.
perfect.
And then you can
Oh,
Can
fun.
you show
Yeah.
them what you
Now, do I need to always clean?
see? There you go.
Do I need to always clean this brush?
well, if you don't want the colors to mix, because they will mix.
Yeah, which I kind of like.
Yeah.
Maybe it mixing. I'm not sure
Yeah.
what this color. I really want to. Do we not have yellow in here? Maybe
Try
not.
and here's a couple. There's an artist brush too. Try the artist brushes and see how that goes.
Okay, perfect. This is exciting. Thank you. Oh, how fun is this?
Yolanda's having fun.
I am. It's really cool. Very cool.
So,
Oh, this is neat. Well, no wonder it's addicting, Terry.
Yes. Because you have alcohol in here, you can take and just squeeze it. And that'll get you a couple drops of alcohol. So if you wanted to just try stamping a little bit and see what that does with it.
I like the edges of the cups. I love the
I know
edges.
how it moves around.
Yeah, it's so fun. My keys.
There you go.
Yeah.
We have a wine cooler.
It's alcohol. I like it.
all right, I'm gonna put you guys back for a second. You're gonna have to listen in.
I can be like these too.
Good. Hey, wait. Come back here.
With this, you blow.
No alcohol in it. Do you have any alcohol? Right here, yeah.
Yo no creo, son expertos.
No, I don't have time for it. I don't know why. I can't learn anything new right now. And we're in a room for 2 weeks.
You want the freshness. Carol. Yeah, because what happened is that people. I paid for
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
talked about it,
Once we
yeah.
talked about, we'll
Yeah.
get through that.
Very anthropologist. Look at that.
Yeah.
And just
See, and that's the thing about it is that you let it happen, and then you go back and you look at them, and you're like, oh, I see something with this, and then you work on that. You build from that.
But I'm just swirling with a straw.
Yeah.
Here, that was the color on the alcohol, and this was color, and then the alcohol on top.
Yeah.
You can see that this came right away.
I know. That would fit in my purse.
And then when it's dry, and you put in drops, it becomes.
It really dries fast.
It dries super, super fast. Yeah.
See, another.
Yeah.
I put in the middle.
And it pushes it out. So you can do other things like with a hair dryer. You can put more ink on, or more alcohol and more ink. And then with your hair dryer, you can learn how to form shapes and bring
Look what is happening.
So it's a squeeze. Oh, squeeze. Yeah, you just squeeze it.
That's nice.
Still on. I know. I'm supposed to take pictures, but let's go do it. Go ahead. You know, and she didn't even get into this. I know.
Yeah. So use a brush, and you can use
I just think that is stunning.
So let me get one of the little.
I can't do anything.
You can do new stuff.
Yeah, sure, yeah. I don't have time to do the whole.
I know.
I think that would all.
No, but you have to do multiple layers. That's all I need.
Yeah.
So this is the markers.
Yeah.
I just put little markers and then
back
just put a little.
because you haven't seen
I know, I
Good
can't
back.
work with paint sitting there. I have to stand up.
That looks like a Tiffany sit up.
I was in another place, and I had to leave the room to go to like this was going straight.
I really started.
No, I put when I have put it because my hand have up, but this
This is
my back is hurting immediately.
my back later, a year after the class, and I went, "What, this could be something, you know, maybe I should play, I should plug it out and play with this one.
Do you ever make a collage?
I have hundreds and probably thousands
See the many
of
layers
these. I would
that
buy
I
big
have been
boxes
putting
of
in that.
paper, and I just get one of those
And
like
then
letter
you get-
divider things, and I there's stacked
when it
together,
dry,
and a lot of times I'll-
And then go clear and
No, but
clear.
it's
And
gotta be, yeah.
Yeah.
This,
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
But you know, even after these have dried,
Because this is
oh,
you can just soak it back and just.
I should have put some in it.
Yeah, you gotta just put a little something, something, but see how nice, I mean,
That is so cool.
yeah, it does the work for you.
Yeah, yeah.
And make beautiful note cards. I was trying to figure out how you could make them.
Yes,
into
and you
note
can,
cards.
you know, you can also photograph these and print them.
Yeah.
You know, get them printed and stuff like that.
Very, very, very cool. I love this too. That's like a Monet, that's like a Tiffany window.
Yeah.
You want this?
Beautiful.
You should do some, Yeah, you know, the pens are awesome.
I love some.
Yeah,
This color.
yeah, right. Because you can write with your pen and then use your. I found that this is hard. Whatever you want. You just have to hold it here, and then you just keep squeeze. Every once in a while, you squeeze it. So who's not using the pen yet? Who has tried the pen?
It's fun.
Yeah.
Look at this.
Thank you so much. I like
Is there anything I missed seeing?
I love this house. Thank you, Terry. Oh, you are so welcome.
Yes, thank you, Terry.
I have plenty of paper if anybody needs to try another one. Is this okay?
I'm getting some of this. Is that okay?
Yes, yeah, get some of that here. Take another piece. Take another one. And then take, you know, this one.
I have one already.
Yeah, I thought.
Oh, you are so welcome. Without you, my this is what I.
Yeah.
I know.
I know you started too much, so should we come earlier next time to get all the
It is.
Good to know.
Because I wanted to know, I really like this one, but then by the time we would finish, we would
I
have
know the flowers.
either way.
And this one, this one.
It's beautiful.
The landscapes and stuff.
No.
Like go crazy.
Well, that's because we were introduced.
I think,
Yeah, it's really cool.
I have to give me some little stuff.
Hello,
babies.
On the 10th of December, until the same time. Yes.
Stand up.
I
know, I can't see it sitting.
Yeah, I didn't know.
But I love it.
I'm gonna be forcing your lion to
But it's very
the way, you know. Yeah. Oh, yes. I have 7 years where I haven't used it.
Oh, that's a long time.
Because, you know, the last time I was with my husband.
Oh. All right, guys. Everyone's forgetting that we're live. All right, guys. So pretty much just remember to vote for nominations that we have upcoming, because I'm sure you didn't hear that. Make sure also that you can, there's an extension for the Gift of Art show that's coming up at Art Spotlight, where Terry is the gallery owner, and Thais Franco. Remember to read the perspective, because even if you enter and you didn't read the perspective and your art doesn't meet requirements, then unfortunately we'll have to reject it, but there's no refund. Okay, so just FYI, you could submit 2 pieces to this show. So if you only submitted 1, you could go ahead and submit another one. Also, Barbara Perkins is having a show in February. There's a big show with the Ormond Performing Arts that Elsie talked about, and please look on our Facebook for anything. And also the perspective and the job form will be up for that. And then we have a whole schedule of exhibits coming up. So the master will be up as well by December, end of December. But start painting, start getting your creative juices going, because we've got a lot. We've got pretty much February, March, April. Show after show, especially the annual show called Visions Unveiled. That's no theme, but it is an annual show. It's going to be a big prize of $500. So you want to go ahead and start thinking about what you're going to want to submit to that. That will be prejudged and then have a judge. We're going to have an outside judge for that. All right. I'm going to have Elias. Leanne, I can't pronounce her last name properly. I apologize. Bugas from the Lake County Museum. She's the executive director. She's going to be my judge for that. So a lot going on. I hope you guys really are enjoying these. As we go forward, Jay Escudero, she's got a lineup of guests coming up, and we'll be announcing all of those as well. We'll be looking on our website for that. And we're going to be doing more demos and workshops. So if you can make it, that'd be great. But we'll have these live streaming. And then if you have any questions, feel free to email me at Lisette, Lisette, at flawa.org. If there's anything you want to let us know, make sure you get it in the newsletter. I'll be sending out a request for news items for our December newsletter. So get that over to Carrie Ipolotti. Oh gosh, I'm so horrible. I'm so sorry. You'll get the email saying, please send us your information. Okay, so please let us know what exhibits you're in, if you're doing any workshops, any classes. Links to this video will be on our website. Link to the holiday luncheon. Please sign up. It's going to be at the Halifax Plantation Golf Course Club on December the 20th at 11 a.m. A link will be up if you haven't already gotten your thing. It's $34 or so and change for the lunch, but it's really nice, really beautifully decorated for the holidays. And there we're going to announce our new officers. And please, if you have not voted, please vote. Let me know if you got the link. If you didn't get the link, again, email me and I'll let you know. All right. Talk to you all later. And I'm going to sign off. Ciao.
Is it funny when you say that? I didn't get it.